Maybe. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Creature Creation. We're going to have two in January. This is the first of them. We have a fun group here. Let's go around the horn and introduce ourselves. Corey, you go first.
I'm Corey Ratliff. I am adult slash grimdark fantasy author of Marion Chronicles. The first book is Whispers of a Worldbreaker. It's going to be a really long series. I'm planning on 9 novels and 8 novellas. It'll be across 3 different arcs, spanning about 60 to 80 years in my world. And then I got some other stuff in the pipeline, some military thriller stuff, some dark, really dark fantasy. But yeah.
Okay, and Isaac, you're also in Grimdark, right?
Well, I'm in YA Grimdark, maybe. I wrote The Garden Maze and a Redwall-inspired thriller, A Song of Bones. So if you like plucky characters and underdogs, I got some stuff for you.
All righty. And Brendan, tell us about your works and your there you go.
Yep, and I'm a epic fantasy author and a little bit of dark, not grim dark. And I've got 13 books, but my most recent one is the Crimson Court, Realm Reacher series, which is Flintlock epic fantasy, kind of Powder Mage kind of era inspired. And then my longer series, which has been more established, is my Slavic mythology inspired series, which is the Frostmark Chronicles. First one's A Dagger in the Winds. And the last book in that series is coming out actually at the end of this month. So it's a good time to check it out.
Cool.
I don't believe you're an author, but am I wrong?
No, not yet. I'm working on it. I'm working on my first one, but not yet. No, I'm a booktuber, and I did listen to 296 books last year, so I feel like, I listen a lot, and hopefully I'll be published. Who knows? I'm working on my first one. I'm trying to get it done before Worldcon.
Cool.
So we'll see. It's gothic horror.
And since you mentioned that, who here is going to be at Worldcon in Seattle this year?
I'd love to go.
I wish.
Why would you not go? It's just a little bit of a drive for you.
It's just a little bit. It's just like the complete, absolute opposite of the country from me.
4,000 miles or so,
Yeah, it's only like a 31-hour drive.
Can you take a train?
An adventure. I think it'd be.
Or you are from Ohio, because that is the most Midwest way of thinking. We're just like, we can do it. It's only a 30-hour drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everyone here has seen this except for Cena, and that's okay because it'll just traumatize her. So
No, I can't be traumatized.
okay. So here we go. We have our unpublished author. All righty. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a creature. The first 6 categories here will go around. Everybody gets to pick one. Then I will roll the dice for the last category that goes unchosen. So, Cena, since it's new to you, pick one of these 6 categories and then tell us, do you want terrain, size, strength, weaknesses, diet, or active time? And then somewhere from that column, which one you want.
Oh, let's do diet.
Okay, and what is this creature going to be? Carnivore, omnivore?
It's got to be fungi or insectivore.
Yeah.
Okay. Did not see that coming, but okay. Let's see. Who else wants to go? Brendan, I saw your face. You're smiling, so you get to go.
Great. I will do, I think, weaknesses.
Okay.
And because I'm a fire guy, we got to go fire.
Nice.
Okay. Corey.
I'm going to go with terrain.
Okay, and where are we
And I
at?
think seeing as weaknesses are fire, and we got fungi, let's go with the marsh.
Ah,
Good pick. Good pick.
Okay, and that is Isaac.
I want to do size. I want to do small.
Okay, so I get to pick your strength and active. Let's see, active time. We're going to be. You know what? For once, we're going to be a daytime. It's going to be dineural. And then I
I
will.
learned a new word today.
Well,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to use that one.
Yeah.
So the whole reason is because I saw crepuscular and I had no idea what it meant. But that means,
Love crepuscular.
yeah, active at dawn and dusk and low light. So that's why this column's here. But okay, so it's a daylight. And how many strengths do we have? 12-sided die. See what we get. Not 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so there is 12, and so this can fly.
Oh, that's
Okay.
nice.
That's a good one.
I don't like it already. It's too easy. Okay, so talk it out amongst yourselves. You have a creature that lives in the marsh. It's small. It has phyllite, which I will now change to flight.
We have to decide what phyllite is.
Yeah.
It-
Philite.
Fire. It likes to eat insects and fungus, and it is a daytime creature. What are we looking at here?
So we're making this up. That's the fun of it. Like we get to make up this creature. That since I haven't done this before.
Exactly. So throw out ideas.
Fun.
Mammal, reptile. What is it?
It's got to be amphibian or reptile. I feel like with this description here, something cold-blooded, right?
I don't know. A
It likes
mammal
the
that eats
fungus, it
insects
likes
would
the
be pretty cool.
insects.
But a mammal would make it more interesting because you expect, amphibians to eat insects.
I'd like it to be kind of mole-ish.
See, I like
That's
that.
if it was mammal-like, then if it has fur, it's definitely got a weakness of fire.
Yeah, I was gonna say because if it has a little bit more of water repellence, perhaps it could be wet, which makes fire less damaging to it. So you could have the fur would catch fire. So I like that. You said something mole-like,
slathers itself
Isaac?
with mud.
Moles.
Slathers itself with mud. I like that.
You have a.
But it can fly. So how does it fly?
I think it'd have to shake
Very
off the mud
carefully.
and fly away. So it's weakest when it's flying. That's like its vulnerable point. So that's like
So
Or maybe because its fur is like water resistant. It lives in the marsh. Maybe it's like one of those. It's just so light that it kind of flies in the wind.
Well, I was going to say, what if it flies with inflatable bladders instead of wings?
Or what if it's like the flight of we think of like a flying squirrel that it can like drift for a long time, but it might actually struggle to stay airborne for a significant amount of time.
So it could like leap.
Yeah, leap and kind of like go a long distance if it catches the wind, and if it's light, then it could go for a long way.
And it's a mole.
So we've said it's small.
Yeah,
Is this like could it perch on someone's shoulder small, or hide in a pocket
It's
small?
like cat size.
Yeah, cat.
Small as cat or dog size?
Well, dog
Those
is
are two
pretty.
very different sizes.
It's like a chihuahua.
Yeah, we'll go Chihuahua cat size. How about that? Yeah.
So flying squirrel, mole. What are we looking at here? Air bladders?
It's a flying mole that just has the wings like a flying squirrel.
It's also blind.
It's also blind. And it catches
just smells
insects. Bye.
So much for making this easy.
Lives in the marsh, lives during the day. So how does it catch insects if it's blind? We need to figure that out. By sound, does it have great hearing? Because now we're looking at a bat.
Well, I say so if you got like a bat, then you got echolocation. That's how they hunt for insects. And if they
That's how it catches it.
a lack of sight,
Bats
they got a lack of sight, and they got
vision.
So does it go after just flying insects, or does it root around for like grubs and stuff?
Well, there
Well,
could
it
be,
says-
you know, if it's
that's
good at,
It's a
it's
fungivore
good at
too, so
water.
Oh, and now we're world building. So what if weird insects live in the mushrooms?
Well, I was gonna say too, if it's in the water too, it could hunt for like fungi in the marsh or
What
bird.
if
You know,
Yeah.
insects can be
grows-
on the water and
It
stuff
grows
like that
fungi
too.
on itself
Yes.
to attract the bugs.
Ooh.
Oh,
And they can also eat the fungi that it grows on itself.
yes.
Forms
Does
a
it make
form
so
of
it's
camouflage as well.
Yeah. This is a sneaky thing.
Ugh. Can we make it really big now? I want it to be really big now.
This massive fungi
I
covered.
don't want it to be little anymore. Yeah, I want it to be massive.
But don't you
I'm
want
just
a cute little
imagining,
mini
like-
mole fungi thing to climb on your shoulder and be your friend?
And then
No, I want
goes
it
on
to
his
carry me
arm,
when it flies.
and then it flies off your shoulder. A flying
Yes,
snail.
that's what I'm trying. See, has anyone here read Pip and Flinks?
Not.
Anyone? No, nobody's read Pip and Flinks.
no.
Yeah, that's an older story. But anyway, he had a flying dragon. He had a snake that sat on his shoulder and it had wings. So that's now I can't stop seeing it, which is fine because I love that series.
So my question for y'all is, what I got so far is that this is a mole that burrows in the ground, that covers itself in mud. It's blind, but it
Yes.
has location. It grows fungus on itself because apparently it also swims and it flies.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
a flying, burrowing mole with echolocation.
But it doesn't really fly, right? It soars.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yes.
Falling with
So it's a
Because
flying squirrel platypus.
Yes.
As Isaac said, it's falling with style.
It's fine. I like that. Falling with style. So does it climb as well? Is that how it gets airborne? Or can we go back to my bladder idea? Like how does it climb up trees as well?
Maybe this is a really gusty place.
I mean,
That could
it be
happen.
really
One
windy
day,
marsh.
big
Yeah.
wind comes through and it goes
It just
like this.
it hops from the water and just takes off. Yeah.
That's workable. I
It's
like
got
that. I
jet.
just wanted a reason for it to elevate. I have no
It's
problem
got
with
like
that.
an air jet propulsion.
Jet propulsed. We've got a jet propulsed mole.
Or swamp gas. Like there could be bursts of swamp gas and
Yeah.
it knows they're coming and it like
That's a
spans
good
over them
idea.
so it can be blasted.
Since it eats fungi.
So now it's a smelly fungi covered.
Yes. Well, swamp gas doesn't have to smell. I mean, we're making the world,
So
right?
y'all,
It doesn't have to be sulfur.
y'all were thinking like a pet or something. I was thinking like if rangers or hunters would come to this area, then these could be something to be hunted for food.
Oh,
But
the pelts are worth a lot of money.
I don't think they'd want to eat that.
Well,
What if
it's
it
done a good
grows
job
the
of making
rarest-
itself unattractive.
What if the fungi that grow on it are the rarest type of fungi that only have the symbiotic relationship between the mole animal we're creating and the fungi?
So they're
That would be a reason for them to hunt it.
So it grows truffles.
Yes.
Chocolate one. But chocolate truffles.
So are the truffles valuable because they're a delicacy, or are they valuable because they're a powerful poison or a hallucinogen?
Magic. I go with magic.
The magic.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, this could affect the flight thing. What if the fungi it grows on itself then eats it and it just gives it magical flight?
That's
To
fun.
float up.
That's fun.
It doesn't know what to do with it. It just starts.
It's
I
just
just got a cool
temporary too.
symbiotic idea. Who said he's covered in mud?
I did.
Who said that? So I just got a cool idea so what if the mushrooms are only magical if they grow from the mud on his back? Anywhere else the mushrooms are just mundane. But as soon as they grow in that mud on his back, you have this that's why they can only get them from the swamp. Does that make sense?
He's
Yep.
got the right oils that he secretes.
Exactly. It's something about him and the mud and the mushrooms that makes it. So that's why he's so rare.
Love it.
Is that too weird?
I like it. I
Oh,
like it.
perfect.
So
The
this
weirder the
So now
better.
this thing is definitely being hunted.
sounds really reasonable. Throw in a couple monkey wrenches.
Okay.
So, Corey, you're on the top here. Pick a number between 1 and 12.
10.
10. That means that we get something from the peanut gallery. So whoever is
Uh-oh.
throw in something that you want this creature to have. Come on, be devious. Or
I can't even read the comments, so.
there aren't a lot. No, peanut gallery is not coming through. So we're going to pick another number, Corey.
5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this actually helps you all.
Uh-oh.
Hollow.
Okay, yeah, it helps with the flight there. Yeah.
So yeah.
Hollow bone.
Yeah.
Sorry, EL.
That's that powerful.
The
That's the jet propulsion Corey was talking about.
Well, I was thinking
Yeah.
when they start to float up, they're just easy targets for anyone to just shoot them down. But if they got the farts,
Oh, nice.
Forward
Hollow
movement.
bone.
Thanks.
What if the mushrooms can root in the bone?
and that's how they die. They're immortal basically until the mushrooms get them.
Until the mushrooms take them over? Or what if their bones are how the mushrooms become magical? Because they're hollow.
Are we getting parasitic mushrooms on our?
Yes! Why not?
And that's what people are actually after. They're actually after the bones.
So we still have another monkey wrench to go. So Isaac, pick a number, 1 to 12.
1.
Okay.
You actually call them monkey wrenches. That's hilarious.
Oh,
Jeff.
It's
got
death.
Death and blind.
for no reason.
Blind and deaf.
So there goes echolocation.
What if its sonar actually lights things up when the sound hits it? So if it's up, it's just looking in the air, it does its little noise, but to it doesn't hear anything. To it, it's just shooting out something that'll bounce back light at it. So it's like a flashlight, an invisible flashlight that reflects things.
We'll give it echolocation, but it's otherwise deaf, so it can't hear things coming unless it does the echolocation. So this blind, deaf mole, burrowing, swimming mole with mushrooms that everyone wants.
Yeah, so it could be deaf in like the typical hearing range, and then only
His ears
can
could sense vibration, like the hair in his
Yeah.
ears. Are like,
Well, I was to say, because in my books, in my books, the magical system I use is energy manipulation, and sound, how they use it and harness it, is actually shown through their way of seeing the magic as vibrations and frequencies. You can have sound. Like in the military, we had some weapons that technically put out a sound that you couldn't hear, but you could feel the vibrations of it, and it would cause disturbances. So if it was picking up on vibrations, especially since it's a mole-like and their whiskers, that's generally how they feel things more than they actually hear them. So
and it has hollow bone,
a really good,
which would feel vibrations better.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun. I don't want to meet this creature, though. I'm not going to lie.
I wouldn't mind seeing it from afar.
Yeah, in a picture, but
fungi?
No. I don't mind a photo of this thing, but I don't want to meet it in a dark alley. No.
When we're done,
so if the fungi is making this thing fly, is that what people are after? Maybe that's the magic they get is just to make them fly.
Aeronauts really like this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
So Cena, when we're done with this, I'll actually send it to my cover artist, and he will draw a picture of this creature.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
The poor fellow.
For my artist, what color is this? All brown because it's covered in mud? Is it green? Does it have white mushrooms? What does it look like? Because I never ask these questions, and I have to make this up after the fact.
Very dark colorations. I think
I think the shrooms are purple.
Purple shrooms.
I would say it's a chameleon, you guys. With all these weird things, it'd have to be a chameleon.
No, I think
Even though it's a
chameleon's too much of. I think chameleon was too much of an advantage. Like that's a strength. We didn't pick that.
Yeah, especially if it's wandering around in the muck and the mud and the water of a marsh or swamp-like area, it's probably just going to be dark anyway from both the mud and that's just going to be its natural, its
In
natural hue
general.
to even if it
Can
has
we
fur or anything
can
like
we give
that.
it hot pink eyes?
I was thinking its eyes would be very pretty, very
Yeah,
beautiful
like hot
Yeah,
eyes.
pink,
it's
right?
blind, so
You know
there
what?
we
Christmas
go.
lights.
Let it active during the day and not at night because that would just makes things harder for it.
Yep.
Yes, yes. What a fun creature.
Um, do we still have viable? Let's continue and try to ruin things then. Brendan,
Picking a number.
1 to 12.
8.
8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh,
Uh-oh. That's not a good sound.
Low metabolism. Okay.
I would much rather have a high metabolism and have to be active. Now it can be sloth-like.
So it
Well,
can
now
lurk and only eat
it
insects
plays
when
the
it
waiting
needs
game.
to.
It
Yeah.
lets things
Well,
come to it.
It
It is
feels the
kind of lazy
vibrations of
already.
the insects, and then it catches them.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't
And maybe
fly. It soars. It's kind of lazy.
maybe it's got like it's got an ability with if the mushrooms are attached down to its bones of like bioluminescence. So with a low
Oh, that's
metabolism, when it wants to get insects or something like that, it can make them glow.
cool.
And
It's a lure.
What if the bioluminescence comes from the fungi? What if the fungi are bioluminescent?
That's what I
This
mean.
whole
Like
thing is very symbiotic. Yeah.
yeah.
Ooh, the
So
eyes glow because of the mushrooms in the bones.
Maybe that's why
The
it's
eyes are
glowing.
the lure.
It's
Yeah,
glowing because
the
of the
eyes are his
mushrooms.
lure.
That's smart.
It's like
I
those
like that.
fish at the bottom of the ocean with the
Yeah,
little
the one with
dangle. What are they
those
called?
Yep.
those
Yeah, they're
anglers
blind,
or
but they have a
whatever they're
little
called.
lure. Yeah,
Yep.
it's like that, except
Finding
it's
Nemo
a
made those
snake.
things look way more terrifying.
Are they not actually that terrifying?
They're ugly.
Well, I think that just made them seem massive, and
Oh, yeah.
I mean
Well,
they're pretty
compared to
terrifying looking, but
Well,
clownfish?
compared to a
they're
clownfish,
fine.
everything's big.
They're not that big.
yeah.
okay, so we're still pretty much on target here. So Cena, come on, pick a number that will really blow things up.
Can I roll it?
You can roll
Oh.
1 to 12.
14.
That's not
1
one
to
of the options.
1 to 12.
Ow, that's no fun. Oh, that was a 20-sider. 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay.
Mike's happy.
No, you're just going to say it's a mushroom.
It's the mushroom.
Yeah, the symbiote. We already said that's the symbiotic relationship was between it and the mushroom.
You want to roll
What
again?
if this symbiotic relationship, the mushroom is just the way it communicates? It is like some ethereal entity.
Okay,
It's a
Speaks to all
symbiote.
of them.
so since we already have that, pick another number. 1 to 12.
Oh, another number. Got it. Okay. Did we do 8 already?
Yep.
No, we
8's
didn't.
been done. We didn't? Okay, then 8.
What? Oh, I said 8.
But this is
Oh,
a
you
new,
said 8. Okay.
this is a new
Oh, it's a new chart?
Oh, okay.
Then I stand by 8.
Okay, well now
Sounds
it's
bad.
this blind flying mole.
Spider mole, spider mole.
Well, you know how
With
the
hot pink
platypus, they
eyes.
have those little hooks in the back of their legs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where it spins its webs. It uses like its hind legs to.
Well, and there are like
Yeah, they're like grasshopper legs. That's how they jump.
and there are spiders that are like water spiders, so that could work. So you could get it like a little bit of a web there. So
And now it can sing too if it's got grasshopper legs, right?
Man, if we're talking like a blind squirrel with mushrooms and like 8 legs, I definitely don't want to
this
meet it
thing is
now.
looking horrific.
Flying spider squirrel.
Like spider squirrel with hot pink eyes and mushrooms. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
do we want 8 legs?
I want it. Let's keep it mammal with 4 legs.
Yeah, let's stick with mammal.
We can keep 4. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I can have a pretty
gonna be able
tail
to?
though. Hey, prehensile
Is it going to
tail.
be able to
We see
move?
that.
Well, yeah. So it's got to be able to like move if it's spinning a web. You know, whether it's for a trap or
long are
for
its legs
its.
compared to its body? Are we talking a little stubby, or can he kind of more cat-like with longer legs, or
Thinking like a wild hare,
okay?
maybe.
Have you ever seen a fishing
cat
cat?
like, yeah.
Like a fishing cat. Do you know the fishing cat? It's got shorter legs but a longer body.
Okay.
You ever seen
Like one of
this?
those munchkins.
Yeah, they're a little bit meaty in the body, and they're a little bit long, but they're shorter legged. It would fly better.
Isn't there a mushroom that actually like ejects something out though?
I think that's all mushrooms.
Well, I mean, like
mushroom. Yeah.
the spore. I was thinking there was like the spores, but there was one that actually like it's more like grows something out of it and attaches.
Those
yeah, instead of
ant mushrooms do that, I think. They
yeah,
explode when the ant
I was thinking maybe something like that. That's how they spin their web is through the mushrooms.
A
Well,
mushroom
and
web.
does it have to be in reality, or can we just say that they do? I mean,
Or maybe the
What's the
spinning
thing
web
about-
is just like a defense mechanism.
Maybe like at a certain time of the year, like in spring or something, the mushrooms bloom
Huh.
or whatever, and you get these wispy, almost webs coming off of them that kind of flow in the wind.
Well, and that works up the low metabolism that they lie in wait with the web, and then they capture the insects when they come.
Man,
now I really don't want to meet this thing in an alley. No.
It'd be a strange alley.
Yeah. Yes,
smell
it
that
would.
alley.
we have
Yeah.
3 columns left, and one of them has a lot of fun things that I can pick to really screw things up, and one of them is eh. So, do you want me to roll first and pick second, or do you want me to pick first and then roll for the last column?
Pick for the harder one.
Roll
the
first.
Crazier one.
Oh, okay.
Or do what Corey said.
E. Okay, sure, why not? It might.
I love it because then you have a bunch of them moving together.
And they can migrate with the fungi. Like they need the fungi, a lot of them to migrate, and then they have the low metabolism season or something, and they have to grow it
don't
again.
migrate for themselves; they migrate for the fungi.
With the season changes, they have to migrate to be able to go to a warmer place where the fungi remain.
That's
I
cool.
like it.
Well, now I'm just thinking of The Last of Us with mushrooms and how they communicate from like long distance away.
Yeah.
So here's a question. Where does it fall in the hierarchy of the ecosystem? Can we make this like an apex predator?
Oh no!
Well, this is. I mean, it's definitely not apex because it's a.
But think of how fun it would be if it was.
Well, I don't think much things bother it. I think it's like a skunk. Not a lot of stuff
Yeah.
bothers
It's like a
skunk.
skunk. So that's what I'm saying. Like, where in the ecosystem does it fall? Because that's
There's
interesting.
not much meat on its bones, on its hollow bones.
No.
Well, if people are hunting it though for these magical mushrooms,
Yeah.
depending on how long they've been
Maybe
hunting
like
them,
crows or
they've
whatever,
probably
they mess with
adapted.
them to pick the mushrooms off because maybe crows like them.
And they probably, I mean, I wonder if they, God, how would they hide? Like, even if they burrow down and it just looks like a patch of mushrooms, anyone looking for them is going to flip over that patch of mushrooms.
Well, that's why they hide under
And
the
that's
water.
mushrooms.
Yeah, they're going to have to. So the mushrooms are going to have to be waterborne as well.
So, and I went ahead and picked the last one for you, just for fun.
Got some horns.
Excellent.
That's
what this creature. This is what this crazy, terrifying creature already needs. Now,
It'd be cool to have like little
These
stubby
horns.
horns, like over its head, like over its eyes.
It does. It could be hair horns, like those little squirrels with the little flippy hair horns.
Are these like the curly ones? Are they straight up? You know, what are these horns like?
I'd like them to be kind of
Talking like a rhino beetle?
protection of the eyes than anything. Like maybe as
Yeah,
it's
like
moving
a-
around, these horns kind of protect its. Well, it doesn't really need its eyes, does it?
No, you know what? They lay back on his back because he uses them to groom the mushrooms.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
oh, they can stir up the mud if it's long.
Yeah, he
like
uses them exactly. He uses them to prep the mud and to groom the mushrooms and to Isn't that would be
It's kind
cool?
of like a arcing back, like a
Yeah,
ramp's
yeah.
arms, except not curling, so it kind of can just move its head back.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yes. I like it better now. That changes things. I like this creature better
That
now.
adds some personality there, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's quite
that adds a little bit of who he is, how he works. He, she, it. That wasn't in it. Is it? Do they
We
have
haven't gotten to
sexes, or are they
social
just?
structure. We haven't gotten to
I'm
social
just picturing
structure
the
yet.
hedgehog now.
We haven't gotten there. We're not there yet. We got ecosystem, but not social structure. I'm moving ahead.
Okay, so since we are making headway here, food source, just mushrooms and insects. Does it eat small critters or just
No,
No, just the insects and mushrooms, I think.
insects and mushrooms.
okay?
I mean, depending on how big the world is, the insects could be pretty big, I guess, depending on how you build the world.
Locomotion, I just put yes since it burrows, it flies, it swims, it does a little bit of everything. Um, so how's it get its food? That's going to be web, right?
Yeah, it uses the web, and then it's echolocation.
And then the insects
not
that's
echolocation.
it's luring them in with its. Let's see, what did we say? It was luring in with its bioluminescent eyes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, sleep time is going to be night since it's a daytime. Where is its nest, lair, home, whatever you want to call it? Where does this thing reside when it's not?
I just
if,
I just immediately thought of a beaver dam.
Beaver dam.
but this
Well, now we're looking at
beavers
social
have, like, the
structure.
ability- beavers require a lot of like specialized taking down trees to build those and kind of stuff. I think
Yeah,
you
it
think
doesn't have
about like
teeth.
think about like in a marsh, like how the trees often have like exposed roots at the bottom and stuff like that. I imagine it would kind of create a burrow around that. You can create a web over it, and there's like a lot of insects would be around that area.
Well,
It also allows easy access to the water.
I bet it kind of does make a beaver-like structure, but it's out of mud.
Yeah, that
So
makes sense.
It uses those roots and it puts mud around, and I bet a bunch of them get in there. And
Well, I was thinking like even if it don't have a way of necessarily taking down trees and stuff like that, like if you ever look at an eagle nest, eagles make massive, really intricate nests, and it's just the stuff that they're finding. It just depends on the intelligence of this thing.
what if,
But there
colonies
are
could get so big of these things that they make their little mud huts or whatever. They can get as big as like islands. Like people think this is an island, but no, you're actually walking on one of these things. Little burrows.
Ooh, like those massive blobs of mold in the south. Ooh,
and then
what
1,000
about
of them
mold?
come out and just web you up.
Yeah. Ooh. No, I don't want to meet them again. Why'd you have to do that?
So they kill you, and then they let your body rot, and then it grows mushrooms from it.
Yeah, and then it plucks the mushrooms off its horns and puts it on its back.
Yeah.
Of all these things, and you step on it, and they just all come out like beetles from the Mummy. Who here?
Ah, the scarabs. No, no, they're not that. I mean, they're not.
They're not
Do
aggressive.
we want it to be like?
They're not.
Yeah. Do we want it to? Yeah.
If they sense something stepping on their home, I think they're gonna get real quiet and kind of just wait.
They'll defend it. Yeah. Or would it? I mean, has anyone ever been through? Have you ever been on a boat in a swamp? Anyone else?
Yep.
They have those weird patches that are like roots from the bottom. They're like plants that grow from the bottom, and they don't move. They just kind of sway.
Yeah.
But they turn into like not kind of like lily pads, but not as floaty. But it would be really cool if the root system went down and we don't see the root system, and they build their little nests in between the water or the ground, the bottom and the surface. Does that make sense?
So, are they creating an air pocket though? I mean, if it's a mammal,
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
They can create an air pocket, or they can hold their breath for a long time, but it's got all these leaves on the top, so they can just hide in them. They can hide in the leaves, but then they can also go from there to swim to other land pockets or real land. I don't know. It might be a really cool way to camouflage, especially with the mushrooms. And if they gotta hide, they go under the water and hide in their leaf palace or whatever we call it.
Well, it can be social structure like between these different ones, as they have to connect to each other and stuff. They have to go through the water to find other burrows, right?
Yes, and now I'm picturing the Gungadin. Remember the Gun? Is it the Gungadin? Remember
I was thinking of the Gungans,
the
yeah.
Yeah, the
the
Gungans.
Yeah.
Gungans? Yeah, from Jar Jar Binks. That kind of thing. Only more organic, less
Less
contrived and more
intelligent,
organic.
more animal.
Yes,
Misa
exactly.
fungi mole.
Misa
Misa love mud. Misa love mushroom.
We have to
I
give it
can't
a name like
believe
Jar Jar now.
That was awesome. They, ugh. And then how
There's
do
a
they
great
get from?
there's
How
a
do they
great
get
comment
from?
that just
Sorry,
showed up that said Stoner Jar Jar.
Stoner Jar Jar. How do they move from little like lily pad home to lily pad home? Do they use the vibrations in the water? Like, do they have some kind of a tapping system, or like how would that
Well, we got
work?
to think about how they.
Vibrations always going through water. I bet they can feel once they're in the water. They know everything going on in the lake or the swamp.
That's what I'm
It would-
thinking. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I just want to confirm it.
Yeah, because they would have to like
Catfish
the
have whiskers.
vibrations around them would be the how they communicate with it. Because
Yeah,
would they vibrate the water somehow to like make
Like a
you
gator?
know? I'm not familiar with like how gators
Yeah,
communicate.
gators, they
Actually,
have that low rumble they'll do. They'll just
Yeah.
shake the water
Yeah.
around.
That's more of a
yeah,
mating call, but
that would be cool if they have a low level intelligence that can like each of the little tribes has some low level vibe, and they can, so that's how they know where they're going in the water. They can swim to that one because of the vibrations. That would be really cool.
Corey, it's an important part of communication.
Yes.
um, how are these things swimming though? Are they just gonna have webbed feet like an otter, or is there
Yeah,
they gonna have a big tail?
probably otter-like or fisher cat-like.
Yeah.
If we're going, this thing's about the size of a cat. It's a little bit bigger than a cat, maybe. So I would imagine it's not a very good swimmer. I don't think.
No.
It's just slightly webbed feet.
Yeah.
So it's not great
With
in its own
claws.
habitat. Well, I guess that's why it needs to fly sometimes.
Well, its habitat is
Sometimes.
And burrow in the
mud and
water.
muck. So if it needs to go in the water, it can. But
Yeah.
it's most comfortable, down eyes.
It's
in
the most
mud.
paranoid animal ever.
That's the most paranoid.
Yeah.
Shit, something's coming.
Hey, what is this thing? I would say just about everything.
The
What
biggest
eats
threat.
it?
Oh,
What's the
jeez.
threat?
I would imagine like poachers or like maybe like a
I
gator-like
said,
thing.
well, if people are hunting it for this magical mushroom, that's probably a pretty big threat, right?
Yeah.
What if
Yeah,
its
I would say-
mushrooms are toxic to other animals?
Unless prepared properly, yeah. So things don't want
Yeah,
to.
so like humans can do it, but animals don't really hunt it because they don't really know. They know better. They're like, not that one, not that one. But humans can hunt it because, like you said, like a pufferfish, they can prep the mushrooms properly, but the animals can't.
Yeah.
That would
That's how
make
they
it
know
like
the
a
weakness is
wayward
fire.
apex. Yeah, it's cool. It'd make it like a latent apex.
There's gotta be something that it's really been evolutionary paranoid of though, because I feel like all these defensives came from somewhere. Is there like a massive
Sure.
thing in this marsh or swamp that's like they have to
Primates.
sense it coming? Think about like the what
Let's
were
go
you
like
saying?
some kind of
Corey?
big fat salamander thing.
Yeah, like think about like how in Dune that like they have to sense the vibrations of the sandworms coming. Is this sensing this vibrations of some massive animal that like swoops through the marsh and eats things?
Is it something that flies? Like dragons, but that's not something like that. They're like hippogriffs. Maybe they're hippogriff appetizers.
I'll say either that or we were talking about the roots, especially in some like rivers down the Amazon. Some of the roots and stuff like that go way over. Well, that's
Yeah.
a lot of aquatic, pythons, anacondas, and stuff like that. They'll hide under there so that they can breathe for a while, and then they go and hold their breath and impact underwater. So if it was some kind of constrictor.
Yeah.
We also
Or
were
an
thinking
arapaima.
earlier that it says the biggest threat, not necessarily only what eats it. There could be we talked about, could the fungi be somewhat parasitic, or like over time it gets so much of it that it could kill it over time?
I'm thinking for lifespan, this thing lives like 4 years max before the mushrooms.
Yeah, not super long.
And that's why it uses its horns to groom the mushrooms. As much as it can, it kind of plucks the bad ones off, and I can just see it grooming itself.
What if this is also a thing? They're hunted sometimes for the horns get cut off, because that way that they can grow more of the mushrooms. The hunters will get some of it, but then when they can't groom themselves, they get overgrown with the mushrooms and die.
Yes, and then they die. So there are farms with these in cages with horrible mages, like taking all their mushrooms.
Or have you seen that guy on YouTube who does the lobster fishing?
No.
He's cool. He harvests the lobsters. And he's like, okay, lobsters are immortal until they can't shed anymore. This one is pretty big. Let's help him out. He cuts the barnacles off. Like, he'll live another 10 years. He throws them off in the water. He marks the ones that are females with eggs so they don't get caught ever again. And so maybe they're like people who go out and like, okay, this is a good one. This one, let's groom this one a little bit. He'll live another 10 years. But left on their own, they'll die out faster.
That would be cool if they have a whole subculture. If there's people who protect them, and then there's people who hunt them, and they're always at odds.
Yeah, the ones that are older about to die, those are good for skins, and you take the horns off. Maybe the horns are cool or whatever.
It's the classic druid protecting the animal versus the.
Nice. Okay.
Yep, there's a reason I love Mike's book.
What'd you say, Mike?
Need a name for
I have one. The jar dunk.
The jar dunk.
The jar dunk.
I'm cool with it.
Oh.
No, dunk, not duck. Dunk. With an N.
Jar dunk.
Because they dunk underwater.
Mm-hmm.
That's the sound it makes when they go under.
Yeah, that's good.
Nice.
That's what I meant.
There you go.
What about
it's kind of like those German
cat?
names where it's like very literal for like the thing they observed. Like,
I was thinking about something like a cap cat, something really simple.
Cap cat?
Because they have mushroom caps. A cap cat. It's kind of fun to say.
Cap cat's also good.
Cap cat.
I do like
it's just fun to say. Yeah, but it's too much Star Wars.
You never
got me thinking Star Wars. Well, there's that, but
so maybe like jar dunk is its like species name, but like the common name for it is the cap cat.
The cap cat. Yeah.
The cap cat.
Because like the hunters would be like, we're gonna go get some cap cat.
Yeah,
that would be fine. They call it cap cat because it's too hard to say the other one.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, the people who worship them call them the jar dunks. Mm-hmm. They could have whole shrines. It'd be really cool.
Shrines.
Swamp druids.
They just take the mushrooms.
Yes, they're swamp druids. I can see them now.
Okay, and so just for me, for my artist, this thing does not have wings, correct? It's just like flying membrane between its legs.
It's got membrane. Yeah, it can glide in emergencies.
Yep.
Which will be handy in the water too.
Like you imagine it would go up with the fungi and it would have the power, and then it runs out and they can kind of like drift for a while with it.
Okay,
that's cool.
It just grows webs. It grows webs in between its mushrooms.
What does its face look like?
Hideous.
Cat-like? Is it mole-like? Is it rat-like?
I was thinking it's the mole-like, the little like
between a mole and a cat.
It has whiskers and it has bioluminescent eyes.
Yes.
Ears because it
and they're hot pink. They're hot pink. I want the eyes to be hot pink. Work with me on this.
With horns arcing back.
Yeah, no, arcing back horns. Yep.
It's like a sand shrew, cat, mole, squirrel.
Oh my gosh. I'm just imagining trying to describe this thing in a book. You did like 8 pages just with what the thing looks like.
Yeah, you'd basically have to describe the things it does and just let people make it up on their own. It'd be impossible.
Just imagine.
Just trust me, you don't want to look at it.
No, don't look at it. Don't look at them straight on.
Who's the guy? Orson Scott Card.
Yeah.
He had some weird aliens on a planet, and all he did was like they were like rabbits, except that they didn't hop; they like spun, and they were scaly.
Nice.
And that's all he gave you.
Well,
Then your imagination runs with it.
Yep.
or Dimitri, you're going to have to draw this.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing the horror that is the result.
Yeah, me too.
I think it'll be adorable. The Cap
I
Cat.
think it will be too. You don't really want to pet it because but it's gonna be cute.
So
I think it really depends on those eyes.
So bioluminescent pink eyes.
Yes.
And whiskers, does it have? Is it like the mole that has like 8 whiskers that are all like this, or is it just like cat-like whiskers?
I imagine they're cat-like whiskers, but his nose has those kind of little grubby little things. Like maybe it can grab things and move it towards his mouth a little bit, or I don't know what the mole does with its nose.
Oh, they're weird. Moles are weird.
They have super sense of smell, since they are pretty much blind and deaf. Yeah.
Which is useful here. So that works out okay.
Yeah, so you can smell those marsh gases.
Mm-hmm. It loves that.
Marsh gases. This planet has hot pink marsh gases.
Nice.
I know your favorite color.
No, it's not actually. I hate hot pink, but it looks the coolest when it's bioluminescent.
That's fair.
That's all. No, I like brown. Brown. So this color, he's gonna be all the right colors for me because I like brown.
Okay, well, Dimitri has his work cut out for him.
Yes, I'll buy a print of this, man. He says this thing up. I'll buy a print.
I love the comment that says junkies eat the magic and the mushrooms. How much for a gram of cap? We created something that actually does sound like a drug.
Do you know what, Mike? Can you do me a favor? Can he also come up with the logo that goes on the baggies for the guys who sell Cap?
We got branded Cap.
Yeah, I want to see a brand. I want a branding.
Now we know what Cap is for.
Yes.
Hey, quite literally, because it's flying, it quite literally gets you high.
It gets you
Right?
It'll take you places you've never been before.
Quite possibly.
You might not be able to get back.
I just imagine like a group of people sitting around a fire and then somebody trying to explain this thing, and nobody else knows what it is.
Well, like the first hunters are people the explorers that discovered it, and then they come back and they're like, "This is what I saw." And they're like, "Bro, you are blind.
You're so high." Or the guys that
are insane.
Or the mushroom hunters that are bringing a newbie out and they're trying to explain to him what to look for when they find it. So this is what you're looking for.
So
everybody that's taken Cap can't actually explain what it looks like because they don't remember. They all saw something different.
When you see Cap, you know it's Cap.
You know it's Cap. When you've taken it, you know it's Cap. It's so wrong.
So
what have we done?
A fun fact. I talked to Dimitri, and if anybody wants to use this or the picture when he's done, feel free to just credit him, and he is happy. So you can use this jar dunk or cap in your next story, and you'll even have for it.
That's
when
fun.
I eventually get to the water realm in my books, I might have to do that. Have some marshy area that's got the jar dunk.
Nice.
And my YA book is on an island, so I could probably have some fun with this.
Okay. I think that will do it for this. Poor Dimitri. Oh, poor Dimitri. So now, what's everybody reading? What's a book that we should all be reading that we're not, other than Isaac?
One.
I'm reading Dark Bloom right now by Marvin Cobb.
Yep.
So good.
And I just finished up Sledge versus the Labyrinth on New Year's Eve, and that was kick-ass. So
that was my Dark Bloom. My Dark Bloom was my New Year's Eve book.
Oh, okay. I started
cool. I
it
can't
on
do
New
that
Year's.
That's cool.
I'm doing the second trilogy of the Powder Mage. Everyone read the first one, but nobody read the second one as much, and so I'm finishing up that one before I do Wind and Truth, which everyone's read at this point.
Nice.
Seems like.
I have not read a Stormlight Archive.
Really?
I've only
tried
read
to.
Elantris.
I'm.
I tried to, and I got. I think I may have gotten maybe 25% in, and I don't know. Just there's some stories that I think are. I think they're brilliant. Stories and characters and world building and everything like that. But I think it's maybe his writing style that put me off.
Oh, really?
I'm kind of really weird like that. Like I'm the same way with because like my books get compared a lot in reviews to Game of Thrones, and I have literally tried a Game of Thrones 7 times, and I DNF'd it every time just because of how it's written. It's just it's boring to me. I don't know. I can't get into it.
I can't do it either. I can't. I've tried Game of Thrones so many times, and I can't do it.
Do you like a more like descriptive, flowery writing style? Because I know Sanderson's is a little bit. Part of his point is like it's pretty like simple and approachable. So.
Not really. I mean, mine is pretty simple, really, compared to a lot of other authors. I don't know. I can't even pinpoint what it is about a specific writing style that I like or don't like. Like my favorite series became my favorite series last year, which was Empire of the Vampire, and that's currently my favorite series of all time. And it's written with a lot more, flowery writing. But some of my favorite reads, growing up were, Aragon and Harry Potter and things like that. And they're really approachable reading. They're pretty easy to read through. So I don't know if it's descriptions or it's just the way it is. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
That's fair.
And I can never pinpoint. That's why I sample, audiobooks and ebooks all the time, because there's a lot of stories that I'll buy physical copies just for the cover, or the audiobooks. Audiobooks are a little bit different because I listen to audiobooks 90% of my books I go through, and for me, a narrator can take a story that seems boring to read it and turn it into something great. But they can also do the opposite. They can take a great story that I've read, and then I try to listen to the audiobook, and I can't do it. So
that's fair.
Isaac, how are you reading, listening? Can't hear you.
Who is it? Me? Who are we talking to?
Isaac.
Okay. Yeah, I can't hear him either.
Okay.
1 minute.
I'll tell you, I just finished up Wild Skies by Katie Andrews.
Oh, that's so cute.
And if you like cowboys with guns who ride dragons, and I mean, how can she's a
great combo.
She's a great character writer anyway, and this is more light and fun. Phenomenal. I was kind of mad because it was so short. I was like, no, I need the next one. But that's what I just finished up, so highly recommend it.
Can you hear
I'm
me
waiting
now?
for the audiobook.
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, I just started Pillars of the Earth.
Oh, nice. I just picked up that one, so I'm excited to start it.
I read the little preview on Amazon, and I was pulled right in. I was like, oh, this has the sauce. So I'm excited to dive into that.
There's also that one also has a like visual role-playing game for it, actually, on Steam. I grabbed that, and that actually was where I'd heard of it, and I was like, oh, I kind of liked this. I should read the book. So
very cool.
I recommend that too. So if you enjoy it.
I read that book like 20 some odd years ago, and it's now like a 3 or 4 or 5 book. But after this one, I swear it's soft porn.
Okay, good to know.
Heading in.
That was not what the description sounded like.
Book 2 and book 3, he's like, hey, they had 7 pages. Let's talk about it. The first one is a phenomenal book. I forget what the second one is, but I was like, no, this is not for Mike. But the
Okay.
Good to know.
let's see. So, Sina, what are you reading or listening to, or what 6 things are you reading or listening to?
That's pretty much it. I just finished the early years of Repairman Jack, and that was awesome. That was Bearded Book Beast told me to do that one, and he's so right. That series is going to be an addiction. And then let's see. Right now, I'm listening to The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue and Mike Shackles' We Are the Dead. I think that's the title of it. We Are the Dead. So I'm there, and I probably have one other. Oh, I'm still finishing up The Lions of Al Rasan, which is brilliant.
I was going to say everyone loves that one.
No, it's so good. I had to stop though because it's so intense that it got to a point where I was like, I got to take a break. So I'm gonna finish it, but I was a wreck. I was emotionally a wreck. I'm like, all right, take a break, come back. But it's excellent. Yeah. So yeah, those are the 6 things.
Has anybody read Fred the Vampire Accountant?
Anybody read what?
Fred the Vampire Accountant?
I'm not.
Oh no, I have that in my list. I bought it, but I haven't read it yet.
Love Drew Hayes anyway, but that is just a fun series, and the guy he does. It's like 3 novellas, but it's like this arc finishes and you start. So he puts them together and calls it a book, but it's really basically 3. One right after the other. 500 pages.
That sounds like fun.
Everything consistent. So he tends to go like a third of the way through the book. Okay, that chapter's over. Now we're going here, and I'm like, that's how you can write these things so fast. I'm going to do that. If I don't. But
Has anyone read A Troll Walks Into a Bar? Anyone read that one yet? That's on my list. I haven't read anybody who's read it, but it looks really fun.
It's always so interesting hearing people's TBRs and stuff like that because I can have like this whole stack, and my TBR is built from recommendations of other people, and I hear other people's TBRs. And I'm like, I've never even heard of that book.
Yeah,
just over and over and over.
I don't know if you guys have the problem too. It is like as an author, a lot of my time I would have normally spent reading is writing now. So like you said, Corey, I have gotten more into audiobooks to be able to do some of it. But like I'm there over like a book a month kind of person, maybe 2. So when it's like 200, I'm like I only have so many I can get to.
Yeah, no. If I was a full-time author, I wouldn't have time.
See, I do construction, so I go pick up an Amish crew, and then I work with them all day, and then I drive home and I drop them all off. So my time in the morning is usually about an hour and a half, and then an hour and a half to 2 hours driving once we leave the job site. So I can knock out a 24-hour audiobook in a week, and
oh nice, yeah.
Sitting in like I did Of War and Ruin when that came out, and I can't remember. It's like I want to say it's like 40 hours or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
And I did that over like 2 weeks, and
okay, yeah.
I would have never been able to read that like that.
Yeah.
No, I have 8 hours. I have 8 to 10 hours a day just by myself doing physical labor. So by the time I can just listen to books the whole time. It's awesome.
Okay. Yeah.
So because of the whole writing thing, that's why my rule of I will not read a book that's 500 or more pages because no, I don't have time. And it'll take me, 6 weeks, and I'll be like, I forgot who some of these characters are now. Who are they again? And just can't.
Man, I don't read any books less than 500 pages. It seems.
I was just saying when any more if it's especially if it's epic fantasy or it claims to be epic fantasy, and it's like 300 some pages. I'm like,
that's not
lying. Yeah, and I could say that from the other side of the spectrum. When my first book I wrote that I unpublished, I said it was epic fantasy. It felt like epic fantasy when I wrote it, but it was like 400 pages. And then now, the book I'm writing now, I'm projecting over 800 pages on, and now I see what epic fantasy is supposed to be. And
well, there's epic fantasy, and then there's like super epics, which are kind of like the Sanderson 1,200-page Stormlight ones. So
yeah,
you can get a 400-page and be like epic, especially if it's YA or things like that. But depends on
yeah,
the
Well,
I think
and things like that too.
if y'all haven't read Guy Gavriel Kay yet, I mean, he can give you an incredible story with incredible prose and incredible characters and a new world and a new concept in 500 pages, and it's done. It's a standalone. So you guys should check him out because I'm in awe of his writing. I don't think I'll ever have the skills, but it's mind-boggling what he can do.
I got the Song of Our Bone on my shelf.
Yeah, yeah, yep. Song of Our Bone, Tigana, Isabel. Even no one reads Isabel, and it's amazing. The guy's, I don't know. I'll never write that well, but it's fun to read.
Nice. So, Brendan, you have a book coming out soon, don't you?
Yep, The Shards of the Moon, the last book of the Frostmark Chronicles, is coming out January 28th. And then I have a Kickstarter launching in March for the Crystal Air, which is the sequel to the Crimson Court. And if you haven't read the first one, there will be stuff available for the 1 and 2. It's a deluxe full color edition.
Nice.
Is it audio?
It will be coming out in audiobooks because we managed to hit the stretch goal of the first book. All the books now will have an audiobook. So.
Nice.
Oh, that's exciting! I will be able to read them. Awesome.
Yes. So yeah, the first one's out in audiobook, and the second one will be coming out with it a little bit later this year. So.
I will look it up.
I think the Crimson Court is still probably one of my favorite covers that I saw last year. That was
Katerina Witkowska. She did a fantastic. She's one of those artists. I've been waiting to finally find the right book to work with her. And this series, I've got the Crystal Air cover coming out starting February, and I cannot wait. I've been sitting on this cover for a little bit now, and it's going to be fantastic. So
that's cool.
So I'm actually curious. I want to ask you a question since we just created a nightmare creature. What's some of your weird creatures that you've created, or some of your favorite creatures that you've created that are just different?
Do you mean on the show or?
No, I mean like in your books and writing.
So I don't tell people I'm creative because my Druid series, I basically looked up British mythology and I took everything there and jiggered it for me, and I got a series that's going to be coming out that has Spanish mythology, and there's so much Spanish mythology and no one talks about it. I have like 38 creatures that I have notes on. I'm like, I can't use all 38. It's just going to be an encyclopedia if I try to do that. But I'm like, so like the Trenti and when that book comes out, people are going to be like, wow, Mike has such a vivid imagination, and no, he doesn't. Looks on Wikipedia, and then for images of these things, and then but yeah, so I'm always stealing basically from mythology, and then I have a series that'll come. First novella will come out this year. Alien Space Station, where there's 5 spacefaring aliens. I've had 5 dogs in my life, so each alien race is going to be based off idiosyncrasies of each of my dogs. And so pictures of my dogs. I'm like, okay, here's your starting point, but you got to make them aliens. Again,
that's
Mike,
fun.
if I take this and twist it, and we'll get something that's people will think I'm really creative, but I am not.
I got a creature in the in the Realm Reachers for the Crimson Court. It doesn't show up in much in Crimson Court, but does show up in the Amber Dame, the prequel novella, which is this is like the spirit realm, and so the creatures that I create in the realm, I have to have them have some type of defense against these rogue spirits that can just kill things at will. And so I called it a coily. It's basically a bear-like creature that has porcupine-like spines on it that are kind of tipped in. A thing that they don't know why it repels spirits, but it basically does. And so they're like these massive monstrosities. They're just in the forest, which give people reason to be afraid of things, but they're often hunted for their felts and stuff like that. So it's not all that crazy, but it's fun to be able to build like intricacies into your world and then say, how would that affect the creatures in it?
So just a fun thing that's local to me, there's a house in Petersburg, Virginia, that they say is ghost proof because their rationale is that ghosts can only show up in rooms that are square, and so none of the walls are square with each other. They're greater or lesser than 90 degrees, and the ceiling is a little cattywampus. So
I would imagine that would attract ghosts.
Yeah, right?
Well, having done enough construction on my own house, I think I'm fine then, because if you've done any work on your own house, you realize nothing is square, nothing is perfectly angled, and so I think I'm good for ghosts then.
So if
You just get all the lazy ghosts.
It's like the ghost of the contractor.
Exactly.
they want to come in and haunt you, but they can't.
Yeah.
They tell you what a bad job you did, but they just can't enter the house. So.
They're all inspectors.
Ugh. So, Brent,
Well, I just created a new creature for book 3 of my series. Most of my other creatures have been, kind of like what Mike was saying. They're pulled from mythology, and with my own spin on them. My series is a Dragon Rider series, essentially, and I wanted to write a story that was inspired by Aragon, but in a much more adult, grimdark style way of doing it. So I have several types of different dragons, and most of my creatures are just based off mythology and stuff. And for book 3, I wanted to really create something new, that was new to the world and kind of new for me to play around with. And I created a creature that lives in an area that's called the Misty Scar. In this area, most of the people don't know why yet, but this area has been basically shrouded in this fog, this mist, for thousands of years. And in the mud there's these creatures that when they come up, they kind of look like a king crab, but their whole armor plating is purple. They have a tail that resembles a serpent, a really big ass snake that comes up, and that's usually what people see first. They see this snake that comes up out of the ground, and it's got a mouth and eyes and everything, and then that thing grabs you and then pulls you down into the mud, and then the crab underneath tears you apart. And when they're threatened, then the whole crab will come out of the ground, and now you got to fight basically a 10-legged tank that has a striking tail. And these things move in massive packs of hundreds of them, and they're about the size of a car. So
That's threatening.
yeah. Oh, and the ones that discover them are the dwarves. So
It's always the dwarves.
Are they able to beat them? Are the dwarves able to beat them?
no, not at first. No.
It's grimdark. They can't beat them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
they're-
can beat them. Eventually, though, right?
Not really. No. Eventually,
bummer.
they go back to the mountain and figure out how to create defenses, and I mean they're not actually going to go hunt them down, but yeah, I mean to fight a dozen of them, it's not bad for an army to do, but they communicate through vibrations and through sound, and when they're threatened, then they all swarm, and when you have hundreds and hundreds of them, they interlock their shells, kind of like a shield wall. So when dragons fly by and try to burn them or anything like that, they all interlock their armor plating together and tuck their serpent tails underneath. And
Dragon proof.
Yeah. So they're really hard to kill.
That sounds like fun.
So here are the first 4 creature creations. So you got
Nice.
the Samboni, which at one point was just a tadpole that lived in the desert and was naturally aggressive. Then it got a clamshell, so But
Samboni's my favorite.
But Sandonia is hard to beat. So, yeah, I've got a total of 6 with now this one and another one that has to be drawn. There'll be 8. So, yeah, getting quite a collection of really bizarre monsters that I really want someone to use in their D&D games.
Yes.
Well, pretty soon you'll have a calendar.
Yeah.
You just have to make a bestiary.
Exactly. I wish I could run a D&D game. If I had any players, I would run a D&D game. I'd put all these creatures in it.
You're an author.
I gotta figure out a way to.
You're running a D&D game where your players actually listen to you.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah, other times we all know there's certain characters that just don't listen.
They just do what they want.
I
I gotta
my
figure out a way to add.
over here.
I need to figure out a way to add Cap to my world.
Yes. Purple mushrooms. Remember that. Purple mushrooms.
Maybe
They
your
just
little
love
crab creatures eat them. Maybe that's their predator.
That's all I need is for these crab creatures to start flying.
Ugh. You know, my fondest wish is that like 10 years from now, it's like, and then in 2025, all these weird ass creatures started showing. That's what I want. That'll be my contribution.
I think
That's the big-
Vandermeer does some weird stuff with creatures. I haven't read any of his books yet. They're on my list. I think he does some wacky stuff with creatures.
He is very unique in his writing. You're reading like a journal of someone on a hike, basically, but there's a horror story happening at the same time. The first one was very interesting. The second one genuinely scared me, and it was just an office horror, basically, and it was very, very well done.
Cool. I'm looking forward to him. I saw the movie and put it on my list way back when. Then it fell off the list. You know how it goes. And now I'm like, this year I'm getting back to it. I want to read Annihilation. I want to read that whole trilogy.
The movie didn't do the weirdness justice. It did the creepiness justice, but not the weirdness.
The creepy. Well, see, I look forward to that then because I like the weirdness. The weirdness is key. So cool.
Are you talking about the one with the bear that mimics the screaming?
Yes. Yes.
That was creepy as shit. Like I can only imagine that. Like I think a lot of stories and stuff like that. You try to put yourself in the POV, and as a father of 4, I think a lot about how I would deal with things as a father, and if there was a bear that thing was like that, screaming, sounding like my kids, I'd be dead. The thing would.
One of the things we all think we would do something logical in certain situations, and we would not.
Yeah.
I've done some pretty logical things though, but that's because I have horses. You have to learn to be very logical when you have horses, because otherwise the panic turns into a riot and then someone gets hurt. So
I think okay. I think being in the military, I think that probably I would like to say that I've had enough experience, and training and in Afghanistan to be able to keep a level head and make decisions based on how I think this should be done and not panic. But again, we're talking real world versus some fantastical creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're thinking logically, and there's a bear that mimics the sound of somebody's voice, logically you're going to go see what the panic is, what the problem is.
Well,
and
the bear was not mimicking. I'll say that much.
Oh, interesting. So now I'm really
much stranger than that.
Very cool. Very cool. Oh yeah, no. See, I read a lot of horror though, so I probably won't be that shocked because I read a ton of horror.
It's funny because I'm reading Dark Bloom now, and that falls under horror, I think, and that's the first horror I read. like I've always wanted to read horror. I've always wondered how horror would go, but yeah, I've tried several Stephen King books out, and I don't know if I was just younger or what, but at some point I think I'm gonna get back into trying to actually read some horror.
Yeah, there's only a handful of horror that actually scared me. Like the first Annihilation book didn't scare me. The second one had a scene that genuinely disturbed me. But other than that, I can't really think. Maybe there's a book called The Troop that was pretty frightening.
That's supposed to be really scary. I haven't read that yet.
Yeah.
And that's what I've always wondered. I've always wondered, you watch horror movies, and I watch about every horror movie I can watch. But a lot of those rely on, visuals or sound, to really scare you, or even to set a mood. And I've always wondered how horror books could do that. How they could set tension, much tension. And that's a big reason I want to read horror and really expand my reading, is to be able to take all those little elements like that and add them to my own writing. From horror you can get tension and just horrifying events to trauma and everything from that. You're looking at fantasy, and then you get your world building and everything. And I've always read fantasy, but I've always been, since I joined the military, I became a big fan of military thriller. And you really learn to write thriller, and you get a lot of that intensity from thriller and fast pace and mystery and all that. And we take all of that and you can combine it together, into one genre. I think that helps you be a better writer.
I'll read it.
That's what I'm hoping to try anyway.
So
You should read Gabino Iglesias. Have you read any of his stuff?
No.
He's got the book he made this year is my favorite horror book of the year, called House of Bone and Rain, and it's so good. It's set during the Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico, and it's amazing. He's an incredible author. I love his work.
I definitely want to try it a lot more.
Yeah, and then Stephen Graham Jones too. Stephen Graham Jones is a little harder to read. He's got this wacky style, but oh my god, he's really good too. They're two of my favorites.
So like my wife, she was never a big reader. Not through her adolescence all the way up until a few years ago, and probably 3 years ago or so, she got into reading Colleen Hoover, and she pretty much flew through that entire catalog of hers. And I had kept trying to get her to read fantasy. I'm like, just try one of mine out. And she still has yet to do that. But last year I got her into reading Sarah J. Maas, so she's currently reading the last Court of Thorns and Roses books, and we did those as a buddy read together. I was really hesitant on that because romantasy was not something I thought I would read. But I generally enjoyed, at least the first 3 books, and even reading that, there's a lot that I can draw from that into putting into my own books as well, for just character relationships, not just the romantic side, but friendships and and family and things like that I never thought I would pull.
You know what romantasy is best at? Romantasy is best at banter. Nobody does banter like romantasy. I don't know why, but they do the witty banter better than anyone else. It's amazing.
I think that's a big reason I liked Empire of the Vampire so much. That and the First Law. I think both those have great banter in them.
Yeah, Tainted Dominion too. If you haven't
another horror book I really, really liked, I just remembered, is Summer of Night by Dan Simmons.
Oh, Dan Simmons. Yeah, I have that on my list too.
That is it does it better than it.
And it's not part of Hyperion, right?
No, it's a standalone thing.
Yeah.
Summer of Night by
Hyperion are seriously some of the best horror ever written. Have you read Hyperion?
I have Hyperion right here. I haven't got into it yet.
It's everything. It's fantasy. It's horror. It's epic. It's unbelievable. That book is unbelievable.
Okay.
That's my favorite sci-fi of the year. Number 1 sci-fi of the year, and I just read it in November. I can't forget about it. It's amazing.
Alrighty. So Brendan, what is the name of your book that's coming out in 17?
The Shards of the Moon.
Shards of the Moon.
Is that fantasy or sci-fi?
I only write well, right now I only write fantasy, so it's
Fantasy.
Slavic mythology, epic fantasy.
Okay, cool.
Nice. Writing it down.
And Isaac, how about you? When's your next book coming out, and what?
Soon, this year, hopefully. I'm working on sequels to both books. This year we will have a Song of Bones sequel. Title is forthcoming. I wrote. Speaking of scary monsters, I wrote a maggot the other day that was pretty frightening. And then for Garden Maze, it's a shorter little book, so I hope to have one of those done this year too. That one I made some weird mix between orcs and wolves that they run into. Yeah, they're cool. They have that banter. I like them a lot.
And Corey, you have what? Book 3 is coming out this year?
Yep, I have book 3, Elmeri Chronicles, which is Ruins of a Shattered Dawn. That comes out in June. And then I'm hoping to have my military thriller debut written before that comes out so that I can get that released maybe in the fall. And then I'm going to do another novella. I'm going to write another novella yet for Elmeri Chronicles and hopefully push that out this winter.
And
fingers crossed.
Your book's coming out this year, right?
Who?
Yeah, your book's this year.
I'm working on it. I'm probably 80% done with my first draft on my gothic horror. So we'll see if I'm able to get it done. I'm working on it. I mean, I work like 60 hours a week. So when I get the wiggle time, I'm ready.
Do you have a title?
That one loosely is called Hag.
Hag. Ooh, already.
Yeah, that's just it. Yeah, it's romantic, but it's not a romantasy. I don't know. We'll see. That one pulls my heartstrings. So that's the one I want to get done first, even if it's garbage. I want it in the world. So
that's cool.
It's okay for your first draft to be garbage.
Yeah, and again, this one's so close to me that if nobody likes it, I don't care because I wrote it and it's in the world. So that's all that matters.
Yep.
I will have a sequel to Haley Trailer will be coming out hopefully summer, if not earlier. And,
you finished the first draft, right?
Yes, I have. And I'm writing the novella, the Proxima Centauri station with the 5 dogs that are actually aliens.
Nice.
That's so fun.
That now because that's going to be 25,000 words. Be a series of novellas, so that and that's when I need a break from whatever. And I'll just write one of those because it's only 25,000 words. Who cares? But that I got an artist. He's going to do the first 6 covers and the 5 alien character arts all for me. So he's working on that, and so I start working on his books. So those 2 should come out this year, and then maybe Haley 3 and maybe Proxima Centauri 2. Who knows? But,
cranking them out.
Well, thank you all for the jar dunk, otherwise known as the cap.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you for inviting me. That was a lot of fun.
These are always a lot of fun, and in the future, if you're listening, heads up, I really hate having to come up with 4 people and coordinate with everybody. So what I'm going to try to do is say, hey, I'll host. You come up with 3 other friends, and then I'll let someone else be the one who organizes it, and that way you know who it is, and you'll have a good time. So going forward, Katie she has 3 other Spiffbo 9 finalists to be on the 27th. Raven, and I should not have started because now I have to remember all their names. R.K. Ashwick. Ooh, look at that. And Katie. I remembered all 4. Wow. So I have no idea what this creature is going to be like. I have a feeling it's going to be straight out of a romantasy or something. Would be for creature creation, so we'll see. That's going forward. I'm going to try to do that, and that way, there should be banter between the people because I know them all. So if you want that, contact me and I can start giving you months. February's taken, but it's open the rest of the year.
Nice.
So, okay, well, thank you, everybody. This is probably the longest we've gone, and it doesn't feel like it either. So, thank you, and
Thank you.
weird things
Yeah,
happen.
thanks for having us on.